Hi, I'm Josh. Thanks for stopping by my channel. Today, I'm going to be giving you a TBR for the top 10 time travel books that I'm hoping to read in the future at some point. It was about a year ago now that I posted a top 10 time travel recommendations video, and I did not expect that to do as well as it has. It's right now the best video I've ever made on BookTube, and I've thought about making other videos. The problem is that while I've read other time travel books, I'm not sure I want to recommend them as much. So instead I decided to think of a new way of talking about time travel books, which is going to be the books that I'm most excited to read. Now there's a caveat here because there are a lot of books that aren't on my TBR that I'm really excited for. But right now I'm on a bit of a book buying ban. So I'm going to limit myself to those that are on my shelf, and I'm going to give you the ones that I'm most excited for. So without further ado, let us get going. So the first book I'm going to be giving y'all here is actually a book that was on my top 10 recommendations video. And there's a good reason for that though, and that is the Time Travel's Almanac edited by Anne and Jeff Vandermeer. This is a time travel anthology. I talk about it in that video. The reason this is still on my list is because while I have made progress with this, it's a huge set of short stories, I am still making my way through it slowly. I wish I was being more consistent about it. It's just hard. I'm not good with, picking up anthologies as opposed to picking up books. So it's still something I'm working on, but I definitely want to highlight this book just because it's one of the books I'm enjoying the most. And as I said in the recommendation video, there's a good reason for it. This is set into 4 parts. Each one is titled with some section, whatever you call it. There's experiments, there's reactionaries and revolutionaries, mazes and traps, and communiques. And I think those titles really give you a sense of the type of stories that go on in here. And then within each subsection, there are a lot of different types of stories. There's classics, there's newer stories, there's everything you could really want in here. And I think the biggest complaint I have in this would probably be that I know at least one short story that is The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, and it's abridged, in which case I'm like, why are you including it at all? If I'm going to read that story, I want to read it full out, which I did, and honestly it wasn't as good as I thought it would be. But the point is a great anthology, highly recommended. If you like time travel, give this a shot. Now is a book that I'm actually planning on reading hopefully next month in May, and this is a book that I've been really excited for, and this is How You Lose a Time Warp, and this is a time travel book. I've heard a lot about it. I've heard mixed reviews about it. I think part of it is that it's kind of convoluted, but honestly I think a convoluted book has the potential to be really good, which has me psyched as long as I can follow it. But I really think I'm going to love this. I'm not sure if I put it on my top 5 prediction list, but I probably actually honestly think this is going to be 5-star for me. I guess I'll give you a rundown what it is. It's among the ashes of a dying world, an agent of the commandant finds a letter. It reads, "Burn before reading." Red and Blue, 2 rival agents hell-bent on securing the best possible future for their warring fractions, strike up an unlikely correspondence, but what started as a taunt, a battlefield boast, grows into something much more, something epic and romantic, something that could change the past and the future. Honestly, that doesn't give me a good idea what it's actually about, but it is what it is. Next is a book by a non-binary author. It is The Future of Another Timeline by Anel Newitz, and this was the choice of the non-binary book club a while back, and I wish I had known about non-binary book club then because I would have picked this up sooner. And I'm excited for this. First off, I love the shades of pink and blue. It's so gorgeous, and the title honestly is very intriguing, and the fact that it's by a non-binary author has me even more excited. If you can rewrite the past, you can control the future. Dun, dun, dun. 1992, after confrontation at a riot girl concert, 17-year-old Beth finds herself in a car and her friend's abusive boyfriend dead in the back seat. Dun, dun, dun. Blah blah blah. 2022, determined to use time travel to create a safer future, Tess has dedicated her life to visiting key moments in history and fighting for change. But rewriting the timeline isn't as simple as adding one person or event. Dun dun dun. Actually, that gives us a better idea of what this kind of book's about. So, yes, everything about this I'm really psyched for, honestly. Next is a short story collection, and that is Exhalation by Ted Chiang. And this is one that I actually wanted to put on my TBR next month in May, but I've decided to hold off because I just bought this book semi-recently. I want to say the end of last year, and I like to let books simmer a bit on my TBR shelf before I rush to them. But this one is one that I'm really excited for a number of reasons. One, I know there's at least one time travel story in here, which I'm psyched for. I've heard amazing things about this set of short stories. I've heard he's great at short stories, and I know there's other stories in here, like at least one multiverse story as well, which to me, I think blends into the time travel genre often. So a lot of reason to be excited for this. Just a range of different science fiction, including time travel, among other things, with a very high standing in the sci-fi community, I think. Okay, what's this? Okay. A book I don't have on hand, but I think I recently bought all of Kurt Vonnegut's collection from Library of America. Like, I'm 90%, 80% sure I did that, which means I'm pretty sure I own Slaughterhouse 5. This is a book about a time traveler, has something to do with war. This is not the book on hand. I'm not going to read you the synopsis, but that's the gist of it. I know that there are, I think there might be creatures like time travel agents or something. I think that is based off of other works that I've seen, like Rick and Morty with those like time travel blobs. Also, I want to say the time travel things from the Langoliers. Point is, I've heard those are considered like a reworking of these ideas that come from this book. I don't know what the role they're going to play in here, or if I completely misunderstood that. But the idea is intriguing. The reason I've avoided this book for so long is because I don't like war novels, I don't like war stories, but I've heard so much good things about it that I think it's probably done well. Like, the whole point of the war is, I think, to critique it. So I am very intrigued by this. Next we have Making History by Stephen Fry, and this is a book where they try and kill Hitler and they see what happens. It says Michael Young is a graduate student at Cambridge who is completing his dissertation on the early life of Adolf Hitler. Leo Zuckerman is an aging German physicist and a Holocaust survivor. Together they will idealistically embark on an experiment to change the course of history, and with their success is launched a brave new world that is in some ways better than ours, but in most ways even worse. Fry's sci-fi tinged experiment in history makes an ambitious and deeply affecting novel. From what I've read about this, I think it's less about focusing on the time travel, getting it done, like the act of time traveling, obviously is a key part of this, and more on the comparative of worlds, like comparing the two worlds. And I think this is more than just like a fun novel. I think he's intentionally trying to give an honest prediction of what might happen. Don't hold me to that, but I get that's the impression I get from what I've read about this. Next is a book that, well, Hazards of Time Travel by Joyce Carol Oates. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this because I'm still not sure if I like Joyce Carol Oates' writing. I'm not sure how much I've read from her. I think I've read a few in Ellen Datlow's horror collections, and I've generally felt good about them, so I'm unsure how I feel about long work, because I just know she leans more into the literary section. This book, I don't know much about it. It says a dystopian novel of one young woman's resistance against the constraints of an oppressive society from the inventive imagination of Joyce Carol Oates. Time travel and its hazards are made of literal in this astonishing new novel in which a reckless, idealistic girl dares to test the parameters of her tightly controlled future world and is punished by being sent back in time to a region of North America. Blog, because that's enough. That's intriguing, honestly. I'm more intrigued now than I was when I started this. I love the idea of consequential time travel. Not just like the one Fry said, but like where you try and time travel and you get yourself in a fucked up situation. Next is a book that I'm not convinced is time travel. I thought it had to do with memory, but it's marked as time travel on Goodreads, and sometimes you just have to take what you can get when it comes to this kind of TBR, because without spoiling it for you, and that is Recursion by Blake Crouch. I've heard very mixed things about this. It's why it's lower on this list, but I did love Dark Matter. Read it at least twice, maybe 3 times now, and while I know it's not strictly time travel, it's multiverse, which, like I said, blends. And this one, I don't know if it's strict time travel or if because it has to do with memory, it gives the illusion of time travel. I think it's close enough, and if it's not, well, blame the people on Goodreads, which I am one part of, because I'm pretty sure this marked as time travel, so I'm definitely part of the reason that it has that label, even though I haven't read it yet, so I can't know that. But in my defense, if I think something's time travel, I'll mark it as time travel, so I know either to buy it or to prioritize it. Next is a classic, a book that I'm not particularly excited for, just because it's mainstream, and I'm hesitant to just get drawn in because something's popular. It doesn't always mean it's good. If anything, it's often I get the impression it's the lowest common denominator, which isn't always true. Like, I loved Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park. A lot of people do. It's very well written, very well devised. So I'm hoping this is the same. And the timeline, what is it about? I don't know. I remember I used to think it was about Time Cop, the movie. I'm pretty sure it's not the same. Michael Crichton's new novel opens on the threshold of the 21st century. It is a world exploding and advances the frontiers of technology. Information moves blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. Computers are built from single molecules. Any moment in the past can be actualized, and a group of historians can literally life in 14th century. What the fuck? Any moment of the past can be actualized, and a group of historians can enter literally life in the 14th century of France. Okay, the commas threw me off. Honestly, not that thrilled by that description, but I like Michael Crichton's writing, so I feel like it'll be at least fun to read at the very least. And lastly, I couldn't make this list without including a nonfiction book on it, in which I have actually more than one time-related nonfiction book that I haven't read yet. This one is one I had hoped to read last year. I got an ARC for it. Still haven't read it. I'm sorry, people. That is The Janus Point, A New Theory of Time by Julian Barber. And the premise of this is fascinating. You have, imagine our world. Here is the Big Bang. Here is space expanding, but also time going forward. The basic concept of the Janus Point is that where we see the universe beginning as we understand it now, there is a mirror universe in the opposite direction where basically space-time goes backwards, where everything we see play out now is playing out but in the opposite direction. Basically, entropy, chaos, is increasing opposite direction, which gives the illusion of time going backwards, but if we were living in that side of it, it would look the same as it is here. Obviously a lot more to it than what I understand, but it was enough to get me intrigued to buy this book and to request the ARC, and I just need now a motivation to read it. The big reason I didn't read this quicker was because I read his other book from like 1990s that was really popular called The End of Time, and this one, I was not enjoying at all. Like, it was about the nature of time, what it means to be time, and let's just say I didn't like the writing. I didn't think he did a good job of setting up the premise and walking us through what he was trying to say. Even now, I'm not entirely sure what his point was, and it was just not a well-devised book, which is why I'm nervous, very nervous about this one. But those are the top 10 books, nevertheless, on my TBR that I'm hoping to get to in the time travel genre. I know it's a lot of words there. I hope you found this list valuable, the information I gave you valuable. Let me know if you've read any of these, if you intend to read them, and more importantly, let me know if there are books that I need to know about that are in the time travel genre that you don't see behind me here. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.